podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn. Welcome to Howie the podcast and welcome to part 2 of our Unpopular Opinions pod. In part 1, we had Ant turning football into tennis. We had Andrew dissing all Sunderland fans, and Jonny said that when teams park the bus at the Stadium of Light, it's his favourite thing. So let's see what part 2 will bring us. And for that, we need to introduce our experts on unpopular opinions. And first up, we have Jonny Hawley. Hello, Jonny.
Hello, Chris. Yeah, you've very charitably summed up my opinion from the previous episode there. Cheers for that.
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, when the likes of Shrewsbury Town and all that sort of stuff are parking the bus at the stadium, you're going, yeah, go on. Go on, Shrewsbury, you do it.
Yeah, take us back to the League One years. That's what I'm saying, really. I've got deep-seated psychological issues that need addressing is really what I'm saying.
So you loved them so much, you want to see that every week where a team parks the bus. You loved it. Loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I've been Stockholm syndromed by the EFL.
Any sort of attacking football now, it's just that Johnny's like, hate that, crap, not having any of that. Well, there you go. Now we see it's a bit like psychology. We get the root of the problem of why you think that is your unpopular opinion. But next up, we have Andrew Smithson with us. Hello, Andrew.
Hello, Mara. Why do you hate me, Chris? Why did you say, Andrew's unpopular opinion is he hates every Sunderland fan? I'm pretty sure I didn't
I'm paraphrasing, you know what I mean?
I mean, listen.
Give or take, it was there or thereabouts.
If there's a problem, if you've got a problem with me, Chris, just message me separately from the pod. If this is...
you know, it's like, you know, you spot repeating patterns and you hated everybody around you at the Stadium of Light. You hate all the chants that Sunderland fans sing. I mean, it's starting to, you know, create a little bit of a picture.
Yeah, when you put it like that, I am the bad guy in this.
But the thing is, none of us disagreed with you on any of those things. That was the thing.
I put my head above the parapet. I'm the one who's going to get the dogs abused.
Yeah. You can say it. We'll all be standing behind you, nodding our heads, and then point at you.
Yeah, standing well behind you.
Yeah.
And directly behind you as well, so we can't be seen.
Yes. Well, next up, we have Ant Watson. Hello, Ant.
Hello. You've got us thinking, Chris. You know, you mentioned before about turning football into tennis. We could put the referee on one of them big things that the umpires on, couldn't we? We could do this, you know.
Well, he can control it via remote control and move around the pitch.
Well, he can't be able to see everything then, though, wouldn't he?
Yeah. But then, Andrew, you might need a spider cam.
Well, could you just give the ref the high seat, but give him access to a drone? So it's not as bad as a spider cam, but the drone just does the legwork for the ref.
We could give him access to a really large seat, and then if he gives a really bad decision, dunk him into some guns below, couldn't we?
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's getting silly. But, yeah.
And like tennis, does everyone have to stay quiet during the game?
No popping champagne corks. None of that palaver at football matches. We're not having that. But, yeah.
I wouldn't mind a bit of strawberry and cream, actually, at the footy. You know, especially in pre-season. Wouldn't mind a bit of that.
Yeah, I've got better with our, food and drink at the Stadium of Light. We get Korean chicken and all that. That's for some strawberry and cream. I think that'd be nice.
Really?
I'm not trusting fresh cream from the concourses at the Stadium of Light, like, especially not in August. You know,
I love Sunderland, as you know, lads. This isn't a dig at Sunderland, but I think... Well, I love my version of Sunderland. I think if somebody was to go to the concourses at the Stadium of Light and say, can I have the strawberries and cream? It would be one of those things, you know, like if you walk into a Western saloon and the fella stops playing the piano, everybody would just turn and who's ordering strawberries and cream at the match?
The day football died.
Everyone near them in the concourse just immediately converges on them, surrounds them, and then when they walk away, that person's disappeared and there's not a trace left of them anymore.
Yeah.
There's only a pile of strawberries on the floor.
Roy King just taps him on the shoulder Come on, son.
Biggest thing you
You're
missed out there, though, we'd be a good side to have strawberries and cream. Red wine.
Yes.
Wimbledon,
Good
the
market.
I've
SAFC
changed
tournament.
my mind. I've
Yes.
changed my mind. It's a goer.
Give Ant a job on that commercial team. Tell you what. But
I'm
anyway,
available.
but yes. So anyway, we had, as you can see, we had a few unpopular opinions raised in part one. But in part two, we're going to crack on with it, and again, we're going to alternate between our general football unpopular opinions and our Sunderland AFC specific unpopular opinions. So first up today, I think we're going to kick off with Jonny and his Sunderland AFC specific unpopular opinion.
I'm going to put my tin hat on quickly before I say this one. So my unpopular opinion is...
I've never seen Jonny so nervous.
My unpopular opinion is, I think Seb Larsson is unlucky not to be remembered as fondly, if not more so, than Julio Arca. Just let that digest for a second. So, everyone loves Julio, right? And I'm not. This is not me trying to diminish him, right? But
So you're not bringing Julio down to Larsson's level. You're bringing Larsson up to...
yeah, or Larsson up to above Julio's level, because Julio was great, right? He was brilliant for us, but his best seasons for us came in the second division. Not the majority of, but a big chunk of his league appearances for Sunderland came in the second division. He also has made more appearances both in the league and in all competitions for Middlesbrough than he has for Sunderland. Seb Larsson, by contrast, never played for Middlesbrough or anyone else in the general northeast
Probably
area
that
of the
because we never
country.
played for Johnny, to be fair.
But he did his tour of the Midlands, and that man, he was, he's more of a globetrotter. But Larsson never played for one of our nearer, I was going to say rivals, but that's a whole other episode in itself. He only ever played in the Premier League for us, so he played at a higher level. He played a comparative number of games, and he scored a comparative number of goals for us as well. So from the high level, I think there's not... If anything, really, you're looking at it and going on paper, Larsson's got the better record. Not to mention that he won our Player of the Season in 2014-15, which, again, we were in the Premier League for that. I know Art has won Player of the Season and stuff, and, he's got a couple of other different sort of fan awards from Sunderland fans and what have you. But Larsson was our Player of the Season in a season where we stayed in the Premier League, whereas Julio, as much as we love him, played in 2 relegation teams that were historically bad. So he wasn't even around at a good time for the club. Whereas Larsson, as I say, Player of the Season, scored a decent number of goals, got to a cup final with us, by the way, and started at Wembley in the League Cup final in 2014. And on top of that, Larsson was pretty good at free kicks as well, which is the other sort of USP that Julio's got. He scored that brilliant free kick against Blackburn, is one of the ones that comes immediately to mind in, was it O'Neill's very first game, I think, for us, when Davy Vaughan scored that pinger from outside the box, and then Larsson scored the free kick late on to get the winner. He scored, a free kick from about 1,000,000 yards out against Arsenal at the Emirates. He scored against Stoke. He's scored plenty. That incredible scissor kick volley he scored against Liverpool on his Sunderland debut at Anfield in the 2011-12 season, that was brilliant. Seb's been part of some, not quite iconic moments, but he's been part of some pretty bloody impressive moments in Sunderland history. He's been part of plenty of teams that have beaten the Mags. And yeah, I think, when you look back at it, I'm shocked that he isn't remembered way, way more fondly and given more attention by the fan base in general and the club at large. As I say, I'm aware that Julio's got the cult hero reputation, and obviously he helped himself after his retirement. He's stayed in the area, and there was videos of him before I think it was the away derby last season, where there was videos of him kind of, in a bar or whatever with Sunderland fans singing Shearer songs and all that kind of stuff. So there's intangibles you can't account for, but I think Larsson's been done dirty.
Well, just to double check, can I just check that has there been an epidemic of anti-Seb Larsson activity that I'm unaware of to say that people don't necessarily think he's very good?
When's the last time Seb Larsson had his song sung at a Sunderland game? And when's the last time Julio did?
But I don't think he's got that hook, like you said, of being a young Argentinian lad coming across to Sunderland when he's young and,
Have you seen Seb's bright blue eyes? Sorry, are we talking about the same absolutely gorgeous bastard here?
And then the whole South Shields thing, I think, and settling in the area, like you said, I think that plays a massive part. But the other thing, I think, especially when he first came, he kind of got bums off seats, I think, Julio, whereas Seb Larsson was just never that sort of player. And when you talk about his free kicks, I mean, you're talking about, he came with this reputation and he started off with a couple, but in the end, he was like a 1 in 50 was anywhere near going in, wasn't it? I mean, he kind of really tailed off towards the end. And he was a good player, but he was always a 7 out of 10, wasn't he?
Well, he was a better footballer than Julio Arca because he spent his whole career in the Prem.
All right, I'm going to put it across to Andrew and Ant there just to see what they think on that.
Is the fact, though, that Arcus stayed around one of the reasons why he was popular when we got relegated? Because Larsson, I think his contract was at an end, but didn't he move to Hull when we got relegated? I wonder if that's part of the Arcus story.
But Arca went to Borough. We don't like Borough.
Well,
we don't care about
Borough and Hull are 2 Yorkshire teams that we don't care about.
Yeah, but nobody cares about Borough. But putting that to one side, it just is worse to go to Borough than it is to go to Hull. And he played for Borough more than us. If anything, he's more of a Middlesbrough player than a Sunderland player, Julio Arca.
Jonny, you just said there we don't like Borough. I don't like anybody or anything.
well, Andrew, you don't even like us.
Yeah, so listen, I actually feel bad about what I'm going to say, Jonny, because I do appreciate you've always got my back on a lot of these things and you dig me out of a lot of holes. But I actually think Larsson has a better reputation with the fan base than he deserves. Now, that might be an unpopular decision. I loved his attitude. I loved the fact that at a time when we had a lot of jokers at the club, he would often do extra training. He would pay for staff to come in and do one-on-one sessions with him. He would get a yoga instructor in so that he could be supple and able to play and prolong his career. I loved all of that. I loved his technique. But as Chris says, in the later years, his corners were absolutely diabolical. And he wasn't a creative player towards the end. He became this kind of like midfield runner.
Defensive midfielder in the end, really, wasn't he?
Yeah. And I remember times when I think he was ineffectual. I remember times when he did some shocking tackles, some of which he got sent off for, some of which he got away with. I don't mind him. I don't dislike him. I think there's a lot of good to say about him, and some people absolutely love him. But it's interesting that you like him as much as you do, Jonny, because I never got that.
But I think if anything, you're kind of reinforcing my point a little bit in that when Chris was like, well, is there an anti-Seb Larsson thing? Well, some of the stuff you've just rattled off there as points against him is stuff that Arca gets loads of praise for. Oh, he's putting in terrible tackles. One of Julio's most famous moments in a Sunderland shirt's Nobble and Shearer. Now,
that's why we love him for.
but exactly. So Arca goes in and he's a bit dirty sometimes and that. But because it's Shearer, we love him. But Seb is just as committed in other games, and that's a mark against him. And also, he's like you say, he's doing extra training. He's bringing yoga instructors in and all this. How many times do we say as Sunderland fans, we don't care if you're the best player in the world. We don't care if you're the most flash. We want somebody who's a grafter and committed and will put themselves on the line. And like you said, he transferred from a right winger into being basically a holding midfielder by the end, which I don't imagine would have been his first choice. And yet that's the position he won player of the season from.
But and I don't disagree with any of that. But Andrew mentioned his attitude. And I just remember him pointing to the referee and telling the referee what to do, and the referee's getting absolutely sick of him. The other thing, I think he was a victim of the time he was at the club, because I think you're absolutely right, Jonny. He was a grafter, and he was one of the few grafters we had for a lot of years, where the rest of them had down tools a lot of the time, and he was one of the ones who you could see was trying to get us back to a good place. But the other thing, when I say he was a victim of the time he played as well, he was a winger for us in a team and a side that was crying out for pace, and he didn't have it. So I think a lot of fans were going, we'd rather have somebody else, because the team lacked pace so much that he was in a team with pace around him. Seb Larsson would have been a much better player than he was for Sunderland. People, I think top sides might have looked at him if he played in a side full of pace, because he could pick people out and pick runners out and stuff like that. But in that Sunderland side that couldn't hardly run, and we had zero pace. I remember when Danny Rose signed, and all of us went, wow, look at him. It was mainly because he was quick, because we had nobody else in the whole squad. So I get it that actually we probably look slightly down on Seb Larsson as a footballer because of the team he played in and the positions we put him in. But at the same, I think towards the end, I'm not sure. Because the one thing he was supposed to be good at was free kicks, and towards the end, his set pieces were pretty awful. But and I don't know what your opinion is on Seb Larsson. Is this an unpopular opinion as well?
Well, I mean, if he thinks he's better than Julio Ward, it's very unpopular. But I'll pull Jonny on a couple of things, because you're on about Larsson's changed and made into getting him into a position that he completely, was unfamiliar with. We signed Julio Ward as a left back, and he went and played left wing.
Yeah, shit, I'll give you that.
So he went and played left wing, and then obviously scored on his debut and everything like that.
Actually, I think he signed as a left midfielder, but we pulled him back to left back when Mickey Gray got injured.
It could have been. It was either.
Because I think that's why he scored that goal. I think it was on his home debut against West Ham, because he was left midfield at the back post.
Brilliant header, by the way. Brilliant header.
Yeah.
Seb Larsson never scored many headers. Did he? Didn't want to get his
How many flying scissor kicks did Julio score at Anfield?
True. But also, the tackle on Shearer, basically Julio fell on him. It wasn't really a bad foul. Yeah, he just slipped and fell on Shearer's already broken knees. So that I need it. But I think, you know what, Seb Larsson for me as well. I'll never forget the first 1-0 over City, when it was the first one when G scored. Not first or second one, whatever. When G scored that goal, Larsson had the ball on half. I think they'd said he'd been playing like with flu or whatever, because it was flu epidemic. Kieran Westwood had dipped it out and never played for the club again, did he? And he'd said, I can't play. Larsson played. And in the 90th minute, passed the ball to Stefan Sessegnon and then literally collapsed on the pitch. He couldn't run any further. And I was like, that's a player I want. So I will say that for graft and for energy and for everything like that, he was a brilliant, brilliant player. But we didn't sign him for that. We signed him because he was meant to be a set-piece specialist and a winger. We never got any.
He was supposed to score a bicycle kick in every game, and he didn't.
And I need to push back on you both here. You're talking about his free kicks being poor. Unfortunately, that is not correct. Like, you can just look at the numbers. No, but you're comparing him to the ridiculous standard of his first few years, where he scored way more free kicks than anybody
but that's
else.
What I'm saying. I'm saying he
in
tailed
the Premier League.
And I
said he tailed off. I didn't say he was awful at them. I just said he tailed off from where he started.
I will also argue to say that Julio Ward scored a better free kick than him anyway against Middlesbrough, when he bent it over the wall from 18 yards out. That was a better free kick than Seb scored.
Larson's away to Arsenal.
That's one of the best free kicks I've ever seen.
That's one of the best free kicks I've seen.
And also, I'm slightly personally biased because I scored for my Sunday League team that same day, so that sticks out loads in my head.
Was yours as good as Seb Larsson's free kick?
As a centre half, and I didn't have exactly the same level of technique as Larsson in my locker. It was a bit more fling your foot at it from the edge of the box and see what happens.
They all count. But yeah.
And Ant's point about that Man City game is spot on. He was phenomenal that day. That was brilliant. And I'm certainly not anti Seb Larsson. I don't particularly. I didn't see why he was as popular as he was with some people. But the free kick thing
with Jonny.
I mean, I liked him as a player.
Yeah,
And yeah, I agree with all these points about he was one of the few who was actually trying to improve standards at the club and all of that. But that free kick thing, I think he does actually have a record for he scored the most direct free kicks for Sunderland, but it was all at the start of his time. And that Liverpool goal, I know that was in open play. That is one of our best ever goals in the Premier League era. But the free kick business became an issue towards the end because even when he wasn't hitting them well, even when there were other players on the pitch who had just as much right to have a go, he seemed to take the monopoly on them and would all sit there and wait, and it would take ages for the wall to line up, and it would be all of this. And then it wouldn't pay off. So fans would get frustrated. It's not an anti-Larsson thing. I do think he was a great player for us, but I can see why. Yeah.
Yeah, even I'll admit it. Yeah, the free kicks did tail off towards the end, Mike. I think they were tailing off as he also was getting older and becoming just worse in general at all things on the pitch.
To be fair, with the teams we had, we did run them into the ground. To be
Yeah.
fair, with some of the sides that they had in Adson, and so I think that's the end of our Seb Larsson unpopular opinion discussion. I think, and that's us time for a quick break. I think so. We'll be back very soon. And welcome back to How We're the Podcast. And we so far had Jonny's Seb Larsson should be remembered more fondly unpopular opinion in the first part of this pod. Next up, we're going to go on to Andrew's general football unpopular opinion. And I'm not sure this is going to be that unpopular, if I'm honest.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Can I just check before I start, Chris? Are we still on for a quarter past finish? Because I get the feeling we're...
Of course we're not. We never are.
Sorry.
We always give a time limit, just to think behind the curtain. We always give a time limit, and we always smash well over that time limit. And once again, we're doing that. And Andrew always never ceases to chuckle at that.
I love your optimism, and I know I'm the worst for it. And it's my fault entirely. I apologise. Yeah, my unpopular opinion about football in general is that match of the day, Nate Sakanoff. Just, I know it is part of the culture. Well, that's good because Jonny's shaking his head, which proves it's an unpopular decision.
Yeah.
I know it's part of British culture. Like the theme tune is just like an anthem. It just everybody knows the match of the day theme tune. You even get it on like ice cream vans and all of that. But I don't think it serves its purpose in its current form. It was actually, Chris, it was something you told me when we were doing a podcast and we were talking about, funnily enough, Alan Shearer, who's had more mentions on this podcast than anything else. Like, I think it's important that you can watch highlights of Premier League games for free on terrestrial TV. It's all the add-ons, Alan Shearer's wages, for basic, and of the other pundits. I don't mind some of the people who do stuff on 5 Live, but on TV, they're not telling us anything new. They're not doing anything particularly interesting. I would hazard a guess that 96% of fans are just fast forwarding those bits. It's going to cost a load of money in terms of studios and production costs and camera staff and sound engineers and all of these things for just you can, if you need football analysis, you can get it elsewhere. Match of the day, just show us the highlights, show us the football, finish the show, and we can all move on.
Yeah, but Match of the Day is that institution, isn't it? Because it came from an age where people rolled out, went to the match, went to the pub, rolled out the pub, got home, and the only place they could see the goals from that day were when they got home after last orders and watch Match of the Day, and that world is gone, hasn't it?
It has gone. And yeah, I would dare say that most people tape it now, which is why they can then fast forward the
Well,
bits.
even you using the word tape it is, Sean, what world that was in.
I'd like to say I'm doing that ironically, but we all know I'm not. What do you tape Match of the Day? You mean
Yeah.
put a series link on for a dad? No, tape it.
Yeah,
I
but
just-
that's the thing now. You can go on iPlayer and watch all of the Match of Days all at once, can you? In one go, can't you? From the last however many
Well,
weeks.
not all at once unless you've got a lot of spare screens.
Well, you know what I mean. One after the other.
About 10,000 HDMI cables laying about.
I just
But that's the thing when you and the other thing I remember I saw an interview with someone from Sky and he was saying that actually one of their biggest things in terms of numbers is people when they show the QR code on like Soccer Saturday now to say see all the goals there at like 5:00. That's one of their biggest kind of streaming incomes in terms of advertising that they stick on there because they get so many millions of people wanting to watch all the goals at 5:00. Never mind 11:00.
yeah, I, I agree, and I understand maybe older people don't want to be bothering with QR codes; they just want to stick their TV on. And I understand the BBC have to pay for the broadcast rights; they're not just going to get the highlights for free. But yeah, who is watching Match of the Day for all the other stuff? Who's watching it for the graphics and the studio and all that flowery stuff around it?
Martin Keown.
Well, I mean, like you said, Chris Alan Shearer is one of the BBC's highest paid presenters, not presenters, like stars.
Yeah.
He's getting, I think, wasn't he in like the 300 to 400 grand bracket?
Yeah.
For nothing of any.
Yeah.
Real,
Tell us it's a game of two offs. Oh, well done. There's 400 grand.
yeah,
Cheers, Mel.
exactly. I've looked up. Apparently, the program, because it's live TV as well, the BBC rate it in their mid to high cost entertainment bracket of programming, and it costs. This is aside from the broadcast rights. It costs between 100 and 400 grand per hour to make. I'm not one of these who's like defund the BBC or anything like that. I love the BBC. I think it's a brilliant, brilliant service. I think it's important that we have a neutral broadcaster. I think it's good that we don't have adverts. They can be doing better things. And in terms of the football on a Saturday night, I want to see the goals. I want to see the decisions. You hear, don't you? Oh, something mad happened at Old Trafford this afternoon. You want to see it. You don't then need to hear Mika Richards saying he'll be disappointed with that missed open goal.
just in case maybe he was really pleased with missing that open goal.
I know
I mean,
it's sacrilege. I know it's sacrilege, Chris, but
well, I'm going to go. Sorry, and I'm just going to go to Jonny because he had the biggest reaction when Andrew first said it. But just recently, of course, we've lost Football Focus, which I remember loving when I was young. But again, with this kind of new world, and I know my kids aren't bothered with it because Saturday mornings are doing different things and all that sort of stuff. But surely, Match of the Day won't last too much longer, Jonny.
Well, it probably won't, but I think it's a massive shame. I love Match of the Day. I think it's great. I love everything about it, even the crap punditry. You know, at first it used to grate on us and stuff, but now it's like a warm, familiar, comforting blanket. You know, just settling down over you. Like, I get to hear Danny Murphy.
Hey, Andrew,
just...
there's someone who loves Alan Shearer's punditry.
I'm a self-confessed Shearer convert in his punditry days. I used to hate him at
Andrew's
first.
face.
He used to be rubbish, but he talks some sense now. He does. I'm sorry.
I mean, there's an unpopular opinion right there. You should have.
I don't think he talks anything. I just think he talks bland, empty, like just guff. It's just all pointless guff. And you're right, Match of the Day is a comfort blanket, and I love Match of the Day to a point. But for me, you could have the theme tune, just somebody with a voiceover saying, "This is the game, show the game, move on to the next one."
But-
It staggers me how a top six, a game between two teams from the top six, will get more coverage and more analysis, even if nothing's happened, than a game between two maybe less popular clubs that was like a 4-4 thriller.
Nah, too many goals in a 4-4. Don't
s-
like that. Get that
all
out.
right.
Get that
It's not
out.
as entertaining, is it?
I think if you actually look at who watches Match of the Day, yes, the big six will have a lot of people watching it, but I think the 14 other clubs probably contribute more viewers. That's just a guess. I could be well out there. And I think most genuine neutral fans want to see the match of the day. I know it's different now because you get to see every game, but if there was an absolute barnstormer, I don't know, at Villa Park, I want that to be top of the schedule, not the lunchtime kickoff that was Man U versus Man City. Everybody's seen it live anyway because it was broadcast. I would tweak it if I had my way.
I don't disagree with a lot of what you said there. I think it's a wider problem in football coverage generally as well, not just Match of the Day, the big six bias and all that. But I just love Match of the Day too much. Like last season, not last season, sorry, the season before when we got promoted. Genuinely, one of the first things I was thinking was, "Oh, we're going to be on Match of the Day again." Oh, it's going to be worth tuning in for again because we're going to be on it, and the opening titles kick in and that montage of the different clubs, and you're like, I wonder when Sunderland's going to pop up, and oh, there we are. And
You've just admitted that you just said there it's worth tuning in for because Sunderland are in. So you've just admitted it mustn't have been worth tuning in for beforehand.
Well, this is the thing.
but you know what I mean, though. It's same with
Oh,
anything.
no, I'm being an
that's,
arse there,
you know.
Johnny.
No, but I
I'm
agree.
doing that to annoy you.
I think some of the feeling is because I stopped watching it while Sunderland were out, League One and Championship years. So I got when you get out of the habit of staying up that late or watching it Sunday morning or whatever, you just stop watching altogether. I mean, and close us out on this Match of the Day debate, mate.
Well, I went off Match of the Day quite a long time ago, and it was when we were in the Premier League when we were a game off going to be top of the league, and we played West Ham, and the punditry was great result for Sunderland. Never been as high as I have been in the history, blah blah blah, or in most recent history. But how good was Joe Cole?
Yeah.
And I think we beat West Ham 3-0 that day. I think we'd beat them anyway. We'd won fairly comfortably. And it was all about Joe Cole. And I went off Match of the Day from then on. I was like, no, it's just biased towards big side, big this, big that. But what I will say, and Andrew's point about you're just there for the footy, you don't need the punditry. Do you remember about 3 or 4 years ago when Lineker got wrong for I think he said something on Twitter and then, the BBC, well, you're not on this week, and Shearer and Wright were like, well, we're neither away. And they just showed the goals. It was bloody good, So, but I'm in an agreement of you get football everywhere now. I don't think it's not something. I mean, I do series, Nick, and I'll watch it when I can. But I fast forward to our game, even though I've watched our game for 90 minutes or whatever. I just watch our game again. I don't really watch everything else. I can just, if I want to watch Liverpool versus Fulham or whatever, if I want to see the goals, I'll just watch on YouTube or whatever because you can see them then. I don't really need to see that. So for me, it was great. It's not anymore. It's just, it's a bit like what football focus is, isn't it? But I do miss when the 9 o'clock news was on or the 10 o'clock news was on, and they said, if you don't want to see the scores, look away now. But then gave you about half a second to get out the room. I loved that bit. That was the bit I loved about watching the day because I didn't want to watch the scores.
Well, that's it. I'm not so sure it is that much of an unpopular opinion. I think a lot of people are going to feel how Jonny feels. But what I will
there are
say
dozens of us. Dozens of us.
And what I will say though is that I am so glad I was of that generation that woke up on a Saturday, had Soccer AM and a Day, Football Focus, went out to watch the match, had Match of the Day on the night, and had the likes of goals on Sunday when you got up on a Sunday. And it was just, I just thought, I'm just glad that I had that era and all of that sort of stuff. So it would be sad, but I'm not sure it's that much of an unpopular opinion.
Cheers, Chris. I'm going to have easy like Sunday morning stuck in my head for the rest of the day. Now you mentioned goals on Sunday, like.
Yeah, as soon as I was saying it, I remember the toast popping up out
Yeah.
the toast.
Yeah.
But there you go. But anyway, last up, we need SAFC related unpopular opinion to close us out.
Yes. So mine is, do I say what's in that one? I don't really think, because I'm not overly, I think I'm going to have people agreeing with me. And my opinion is that Kevin Phillips is not Sunderland's greatest all-time striker, but Niall Quinn is.
Mm.
And the reason I say this, that Kevin Phillips has scored the most goals. He has. He'll always be. Well, I think he eventually might get overtaken. But wonderful striker. I'm not taking anything away from him. And I will say, for the latest videos that they're showing in the USA, a brilliant interviewer. You know, he is missed a few things there, because I reckon he could be an excellent pundit stroke interviewer. And you know, if people are watching, get him a match of the day if it's still on next couple of years. Because he was superb. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Brilliant, like I say, a brilliant goal scorer. But he was a brilliant goal scorer in a brilliant team. In a fantastic side. And Quinny probably set up, I would say, half of his goals with the little flick downs and all that. And I always think that Niall Quinn, even though, you know, he saved us and all that stuff behind the scene, was quite underrated as a Sunderland footballer. I really do. I think he was the best striker we've ever had for the amount of goals he scored, in really big games as well. You know, he had probably the best header that we've ever seen against Newcastle, with two of them, with a diving header at St. James, with the looping header the year after. You always knew that when he did that chest where he put his hands out, he was going to score. You always knew that was going to hit the back of the net. Like I say, was a very selfless footballer, you know, would rather, you know, assist and everything like that. I think, all in all, best striker we'll ever have.
Well, I kind of mentioned something like this at the start, I think, just before we recorded, actually, because we were talking about this, and we did, and I'm trying to think when it was. I'm going to go back to last summer, potentially. We did a top 10 best strikers of the Stadium of Light era. And actually, Niall Quinn ended up top of our list.
Oh, well, there we go. Then it's obvious I never listened to that podcast.
So talking about being an unpopular opinion, for me, I don't think it's an unpopular one. I think this is almost, and again, you're saying the club's greatest ever striker. I think that's a massive discussion to have. If you're talking about in my lifetime, I think it's a 50-50 choice.
Between
Quinn and Phillips?
Yeah. No, I think I'd put him on a higher. I'm doing the Seb Larsson.
But I think it's a toss of a coin when you're talking about an unpopular opinion. I'm not sure. It's not a case of 90% would all go for Kevin Phillips. Or do you think that? Do you think there'd be a much higher percentage going with Phillips?
I think, obviously, from our era, a lot would go the Phillips route. I really do. I think from our era, because the thing is, we're into a generation now where, and it makes us sound very, very old now, but there'll be people at the stadium have never watched them both play. You know, so, you know, you've got the Ross Stewarts, you've got, you know, the Brian Brobbies, you know, Darren Bent, for instance, Jibril Cisse, Cameron Jones, you know, and they'll be thinking that. But from our era, and I say a lot, you know, being, you know, an 80s child and stuff, and I've seen Raul, I've seen Gabbiadini. I didn't say much of Raul, but I've seen, obviously, I started going Gabbiadini, Goodman, Russell, and all that. And I just don't think I'll see a better all-round footballer striker than Niall Quinn.
30-year-olds were one when Kevin Phillips signed.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And I'm not even 30 yet,
I feel physically sick now.
I was nearly named after Kevin Phillips.
Were you?
Yeah, that's how after he signed that I was born.
I was nearly named after Marco Gabbiadini, so you're right there, aren't you? Imagine that, Marco Waterson.
So what were you named after, Jonny?
Where my dad managed to slip one in. Do you remember John Hawley scored a belter against Arsenal?
All right, I don't. Okay.
Is that genuine? Did
Yeah.
your dad mean that? Nice.
He never told me mum till quite a few
Ah.
years after, like.
I think there's quite a few Niles running around, isn't there? But 20 something.
And what I will say as well, Chris, just to go back on like goals and this, that, and the other, you can take your Phillips volley against Chelsea, you can take the Defoe volley against Newcastle, and you can throw them in the bin, and we'll always have the third goal against Port Vale, where Quinny gets it down and sees the keeper's completely off his line and just wings it round him, and half a quarter hours, what's he do? Best goal ever at the Stadium of Light.
Yeah. Was that wasn't the first hat trick he scored, was it? Was that the second?
But
First
I
goal
mean,
was against
second line.
Stockport, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Jonny, Andrew, is this such an unpopular opinion that Niall Quinn? Well, actually, the statement that Ant's making there, and I just want to double check with that. You're saying Niall Quinn is the club's greatest ever striker.
Greatest ever striker. Yeah.
Not talking about in your lifetime. You're saying the club's greatest ever
The
striker.
club's greatest ever striker. Yeah.
Okay, so that's some statement. And would you say that's an unpopular opinion? I'll go to you first, Andrew.
I think to say he's the greatest striker is an uncommon opinion. Can I get away with it by saying that? I think there's an argument for saying Niall Quinn's probably one of the most important figures in our history. End of. Without Niall Quinn, Sunderland could have well gone to the wall after the 15-point relegation. As a player, him and Phillips together were stunning and were like the focal point of a complete revival the club had. I know exactly where Ant's coming from. Of the two of them, I prefer Niall Quinn. Kevin Phillips gave me some amazing memories, an amazing finisher, lots of happy times, but for some reason, I just always liked Quinn more.
Yeah, that's it. And he, like I said, was talking about Phillips' spectacular goals, and Quinn got some. But Jonny, you have already mentioned your youth many times and laughed at us. But if Ant says Niall Quinn's the club's greatest ever striker, because you've seen us a lot in the Premier League, actually, with the likes of Darren Bent and goal scorers who always scored at the top level. And actually, you could probably now, after a full season, throw in Brian Brobby, see what happens in the next season. But even in your lifetime, if you say Niall Quinn's that greatest ever striker, is that unpopular, or would you go, yeah, okay, I wouldn't disagree?
There's a name that I'm absolutely shocked nobody's mentioned so far. Jermaine Defoe.
Mm-hmm.
We had a bloke play for us who scored over 100 goals in the Premier League.
I mentioned his volley, to be fair, Jonny.
Yeah, okay, you mentioned his volley, but
that could be the start of an unpopular opinion, to be honest.
But we've got a guy there who scored a worldie volley against the Mags in a glorious win against them. He got 15 goals for us in back-to-back seasons when we were rubbish in the Premier League, including the season we went down, by the way. We had a 15-goal striker and still got relegated. Cheers, Davy Moyes. But obviously, it was a bit weird the way he came back in League One, and if we just pretend that never happened. But now, I'm not saying he was better than Quinn in terms of Sunderland legacy, but I don't think it's particularly debatable that Jermaine Defoe was a better footballer than Niall Quinn in terms of his level of quality. Defoe played in World Cups for England.
Niall Quinn got a lot further in World Cups than Jermaine Defoe ever did.
Also, Jermaine Defoe played quite regularly in the top European competitions, Champions League, whatever the Europa League was being called around the mid to late 2010s.
How many times was Jermaine Defoe second in the Premier League at Christmas?
I mean, probably a couple of times, if we're being honest.
Did you see what Joe Cole did that game? Uncomparable.
Niall Quinn won trophies at Arsenal at a time when Arsenal weren't allowed in Europe. I think maybe because of the European ban, I think Quinn probably missed out on European appearances.
But look, we're biased with Quinn. we're a bit biased with Defoe, but we're very biased with Quinn. Go and survey 1 million football fans and say who was a better player, Niall Quinn or Jermaine Defoe. It's going to be 95% Defoe, 5% Quinn. And that's from, like, I also love Niall Quinn. Even though I didn't catch most of his playing career live in the flesh, he took over as chairman the season that I got my first season ticket, So he was a massive, massive part of my Sunderland upbringing. I absolutely worship the ground the bloke walks on. For me, he's a genuine living legend of the football club. So it's not to diminish him in any way.
No, but that's not that wasn't the, like you said, you can agree with that because it wasn't the statement of, you can still say that and say he wasn't the.
Yeah, just to tie it off and actually make a point, because I realise I basically waffled there and said nothing. I think
all right, Big Al.
That's why I like
this harkens back to a little bit to like what we were saying with Arca and Seb Larsson, right? Arca has a mystique around him which transcends his actual on-pitch career for Sunderland as well. The staying in the area of the South Shield stuff and everything, it boosts his overall Sunderland profile. Well, Quinn's got that in spades, right? So I think he transcends his actual footballing ability too much to be able to even judge him properly like that. For me, somebody like Quinn, he's too much of everything to do with Sunderland, even down to stuff like he played in goal for us once and, daft stuff like he's got everything. The story about him having 15 pints of Guinness slopped down his front when him and Phillips were out drinking, there's everything, right? He's got the keys to the city, his testimonial, and I mean, this could just turn into a Niall Quinn wankfest, which is fine by me, but there's all of that. So I don't know if we can judge him as a footballer, and a footballer alone is where I'd come at it from.
I agree with all of those things. I think, though, if you to watch some of his performances when Sunderland did get back promoted in the Stadium of Light era, he was mugging off the likes of Marcel Desailly. He was dominating World Cup winners and some of the best players in the world.
Rip Sol Campbell apart, didn't he? The stadium?
Yeah. I think Quinn was a much better footballer than some people just assumed he was a big man who just won the flick-ons. Some of his skill, some of his control was genuinely stunning.
Yeah.
But it was like he had a cushioned pillar in his chest, didn't he, to bring the ball down? It was.
I was trying to listen to you, Jonny, to be honest, but I just had Chevy Chase playing a trumpet, singing "You Can Call Me Al" in my head. That's all I had. Basically, he was going round and round in there, so couldn't really concentrate. But anyway, I think that leads us to the end. Just to indulge me, even, gents. I'm gonna just have one very quick one. I'm gonna throw one in there myself, a potentially unpopular opinion. And there's Jonny rubbing his hands. He's going to rip it apart. But to be fair, if it's an unpopular opinion, you should rip it apart. My unpopular opinion is that Brian Clough never really wanted to manage Sunderland. I think he always used us to get better contracts at Nottingham Forest and Derby when he was always linked. And this walk, crawl on broken glass or anything like that. He was such a big personality that if he wanted the Sunderland job, really wanted the Sunderland job, he would have just walked in there and took it. That's my unpopular
You're saying
opinion.
he would have walked on the broken glass? He should have done that from Derby all the way to Sunderland, shouldn't he? And show up to Roker Park, bleeding profusely from his hands and legs. Yeah, I agree with you.
Just to prove his point. Yes,
yeah.
He should have walked from the spot where Gareth Hall gave away that penalty all the way up to Sunderland, done the pilgrimage.
But because a lot of people blame the Sunderland ownership and board for decades for not appointing him, but I just never really thought he actually wanted it. I think if he really wanted it, he would have said publicly, and the job would have been his. I think at various points, especially even in the 80s, I think the job would have been his and everything. But don't know. Is that an unpopular opinion?
I can see where you're coming from, Chris. I notice how you haven't raised this when Kelvin was here, because Kelvin would be going after you now.
Would he disagree, would he?
I know Kelvin was a big fan of the idea. No, I think you're right. It suited him to just keep pressure on his chairman at the time and get what he wanted, either a longer contract or more money to sign on players. It probably suited him that there was always a club there who he could threaten to run off to. So yeah, I can appreciate why you'd think that.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I'm going to keep my Amad Diallo one in my back pocket for next time. But anyway, I think that's enough for today. And just to say, thank you very much to Andrew, Jonny, and once again, thank you very much for your time, gents. Absolutely superb stuff, as always. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Let us know if you agree or disagree with the lads on whether or not those opinions were unpopular in the first place. And if you think they are, then are you one of the few who agree with them and that you agree with their unpopular opinions? Or do you think the opinions raised today are too far a leap to get on board with? But let us know what you think at Howie the Podcast. And while you do that, look out for all the stuff we've put out on Howie the Podcast over in the last week or the last few weeks, in fact, in our daily releases. There's loads to catch up on, whether it's the latest on Sunderland AFC, whether you're a Sunderland AFC history buff. So check out all of that. But from us, it's bye for now.